Today, we've got a lot of big stories that could change the way you think about GLP-1s, from Teva's first ever generic for weight loss to Eli Lilly's oral pill that's one step closer to reality, to a price shock shaking patients in the UK as both Lilly and Novo Nordisk battle for global market share. Stick with us because what's happening in the headlines today could shape access, affordability, and accessibility options for everyone.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Downsides News. It's Monday, September 1st, 2025, and we're glad you're here. Today we're diving into the latest on GLP-1s. I'm Laraine Durham, and I've lost over 50 pounds with the GLP-1 drug tirzepatide. This journey has changed my life, and I'm here to help you feel informed, empowered, and supported every step of the way. So if you're ready for the latest news and updates with a little splash of motivation, stick around for updates you may not see anywhere else.
And I'm Christopher Durham, and I've lost 100 pounds on this adventure with GLP-1s. What we share here is our real experience, not theory. And today is extra special. We're not in our home studio. We're in the Caribbean aboard the Carnival Conquest on our way from Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao back to Miami, bringing you the latest GLP-1 news right from the middle of our adventure. We're here to share the real story about the medications that have changed our lives, the news shaping our access, the challenges along the way, and the science bringing new options.
If you're new to our channel, welcome. And if you've been with us for a while, welcome back. We always like to remind everyone that we're not doctors, but we have lost weight with the help of GLP-1 medications. We share videos on GLP-1 topics every single day, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss an episode.
From Mounjaro and Zepbound to Wegovy and Ozempic, from semaglutide to tirzepatide, and even new GLP-1s in development, we cover all of it. From the latest research and policy changes to new medications on the horizon, we're here to break down what really matters for those of us treating the disease of obesity with GLP-1s.
In story number one, a new chapter is opening in the world of GLP-1s. For years, these medications have reshaped how we think about weight loss and the treatment of obesity. Today, for the very first time, the FDA has approved a generic GLP-1 specifically indicated for weight loss. Teva Pharmaceuticals has launched its version of Saxenda, the brand name for liraglutide. Liraglutide was the trailblazer in this category, the medicine that came before semaglutide and tirzepatide, which many of us know today as Wegovy, Ozempic, Zepbound, and Mounjaro. It's also important to note that liraglutide is a daily injectable, not a once-weekly option like the newer drugs Ozempic and Zepbound. On paper, this is historic, the first generic GLP-1 for obesity care, but the price tells a different story. Teva set its wholesale cost at about $1,165 per month. That is a little lower than branded Saxenda at $1,350 a month, but it's still over $1,000 a month. Meanwhile, patients can often get branded Zepbound or Wegovy, newer drugs that deliver nearly double the weight loss, for half that cost through coupons or cash programs. And for many, compounded semaglutide or tirzepatide is even cheaper still. The weight loss numbers underscore the gap. Liraglutide helped patients lose an average of 8 to 10% of their body weight in trials. Semaglutide averages 12 to 15%, and tirzepatide comes in at closer to 20%. So patients are left looking at a generic that costs more than some branded option and delivers less. And then there's convenience. While one injection a week may be acceptable to many, 7 injections a week is a lot, especially when those shots come with a higher price tag and lower results. There are reasons liraglutide may still matter. It is FDA approved for adolescents aged 12 to 17, and some individuals tolerate it better. But for the vast majority of patients, cost and effectiveness guide the decision. On those measures, this generic struggles to compete. Saxenda once earned Novo Nordisk more than $1 billion a year. Seems like peanuts now.
Yeah.
Those sales have now dwindled as patients moved on to stronger medicines. Teva's generic is technically a milestone, but it may not feel like progress when real-world affordability is what's at stake. We see this moment as both a step forward and a reminder of how far there is to go. Generic should mean access. Generic should mean affordability. Until it does, many patients will keep turning to coupons, cash programs, or compounded options to find a treatment they can actually afford. And speaking personally, who wouldn't choose a daily shot at twice the cost for half the results, not when we know firsthand what the weekly medications can do?
Well, so the unspoken part of this conversation is you have a generic provider that doesn't have marketing costs, they don't have product development costs, they don't have research costs, all those things that Lilly and Novo had to do.
So why does it cost so much?
Well, why it costs so much is because that's their wholesale price. So when they walk into a PBM, so a pharmacy benefit manager, and they have to now negotiate, that's the point they start at. Mm-hmm. I don't know that anybody with insurance will ever pay anywhere close to that. If this isn't, honestly, the $25 a month range after your insurance pays for it and everything, I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
Is anybody going to pay a cash price for this? I'd be shocked.
I mean, I wouldn't pay $4.99 for it because you can get Wegovy or Zepbound vials for $4.99, and they're more effective.
Yeah.
And only once a week shot. So if I'm taking one shot every day, 7 days a week, it better be more effective.
It better
or
work.
It better be a hell of a lot cheaper.
Absolutely. All right, story number 2. Imagine this. A pill taken once a day with no rules about timing or whether you've eaten that could deliver results similar to the injectable GLP-1s we've come to know so well. For many patients, that idea has sounded almost too good to be true, but with new results from Eli Lilly, that possibility is closer than ever. Lilly announced this week that its oral GLP-1 orforglipron cleared its third and final phase 3 hurdle. The trial, called ATTAIN-2, focused on adults with obesity or overweight who also live with type 2 diabetes. This group often has a harder time losing weight, yet participants on the highest dose lost an average of 22.9 pounds, which worked out to about 10.5% of their body weight. Across its clinical program, orforglipron has delivered an average of roughly 12% weight loss at the top dose. That puts it in the same ballpark as semaglutide, the active ingredient in Ozempic and Wegovy, and a little below the results we've seen from Lilly's injectables Zepbound and Mounjaro. If you follow us, you know we've reported extensively on orforglipron and have been excited about its potential. This is another step toward launch and expanding the medication options for many patients who need them. The convenience of a pill changes the equation. It could mean fewer barriers for people who struggle with needles and easier scaling for healthcare systems around the world. The side effects look similar to the other GLP-1s, with nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea being the most common complaints, though most were considered mild to moderate. Lilly's CEO, David Ricks, said the company is ready to move quickly, and I quote, "We're going to go ahead and submit this to regulators toward the end of this year." He explained, adding that hopefully this time next year we begin to get approvals around the world. Now, in some of the commentary, he actually mentioned a 6-month timeline. I think he stated that he was being optimistic and that the 6-month potential was really around how quickly the FDA could get it approved. So the FDA has some new programs around fast tracking and approval. Now, nobody's really been through those yet, so more realistically, he's saying this time next year. And Ricks also addressed the big question many of us have on our minds: price. While he didn't commit to specifics, he suggested that orforglipron could be made at massive scale and at a lower cost than injectables. As he put it, the goal from the start was to create an oral pill that was convenient and could be made at huge scale, really for the mass market. For patients, that could mean more competition, more access, and hopefully more affordability. Investors have been paying attention too. After some initial skepticism earlier this month, Lilly's stock nudged upward on the news. Analysts now believe orforglipron could become the first truly successful oral GLP-1. What this means for patients goes beyond numbers on a chart. If approved, this could redefine how obesity is treated globally. A once-daily pill doesn't just add another option. It could reshape access, reaching people in places where injectables are harder to distribute or cost has been a barrier. For those of us living with obesity or type 2 diabetes, that's not just new medicine, it's a new chance at health delivered in the simplest form possible. It's coming.
So this time next year, so where are we? September? Mm-hmm. September 2026, we could all have access, theoretically, hopefully, to orforglipron. And who wouldn't try that? A pill?
Well, I think you've got a couple of things going on there. I think, and I've said it before, this drug has the potential to be the best-selling weight loss drug in
of
history.
All time.
Of all time. If they come in at the right price point.
Has to be the right price.
Because they can make it. They have no fear of how much they can make. There's no capacity problem like there was with
What do you think,
with the
$99
injectables.
a month? $199
I
a
don't know
month?
that they get to 99. I'd love to see it at 99, but I don't think 199 is outside the realm of possibility. Now, you saw the story beforehand that was $1,000 for a generic, so who the heck knows? But I do think...
I mean, if it works as well as Wegovy or Ozempic, it's a daily pill. You don't have to refrigerate it. Just comes down to price.
Well, and it gives you the option to expand the size of the market. So, I mean, right now, somewhere between 10 and 12% of America are on this medication that could be taking it. So if you could get another 10%, another 20% that's on a medication that you're paying Lilly for month after month after month.
I bet you Lilly's not going to let this one go into shortage.
Well, we already know they've spent several $1 million.
Stockpiling it.
There's stockpiles of this medication in their warehouses already.
In story number 3, sometimes the biggest shifts in medicine don't come from new discoveries, but from the price tag attached to the ones already in our hands. This week, that story is playing out in the United Kingdom, where Eli Lilly has hit pause on shipments of its weight loss drug Mounjaro, just before a steep price hike takes effect in September. Pharmacies in Britain reported a rush of orders in August as patients scrambled to stock up ahead of the increase. At one point, wholesalers were told to stop taking new orders altogether. For many, the sticker shock was real. The highest dose of Mounjaro, which had cost about £122 a month, or roughly $165, was set to climb to £330, or about $445 a month. After pushback, Lilly struck a deal with UK suppliers that will bring the new price closer to £247, or about $330. That reporting comes from the BBC, which says the company offered a rebate to keep the increase from being quite as dramatic as first announced. Pharmacies and private providers will add their own markups, so patients are still bracing for higher out-of-pocket bills come September. The NHS, Britain's National Health Service, won't be paying those new prices. It negotiated its own deal earlier this year, so patients receiving Mounjaro through the public system should see no change. But for the 9 out of 10 UK users who buy their prescriptions privately, the impact is real. Some are switching to Wegovy, made by Novo Nordisk, which remains cheaper for now. Others are stretching out doses or combining lower dose pens when they can't find the higher ones. Doctors warn that patients in the middle of treatment, whether preparing for surgery, trying to qualify for fertility care, or simply working to sustain weight loss, risk being caught in limbo. Dr. Layla Hanbeck, who leads the Independent Pharmacies Association, told reporters that patients losing access could see critical operations delayed or even canceled. All of this comes in the shadow of U.S. politics. The White House has pressured drug makers to raise prices abroad, creating room to lower them here at home. In July, President Trump went so far as to call out the gap, saying a friend in London had paid the equivalent of just $88 for the fat shot drug, while the same prescription in New York was running at $1,300 a month. And here at the Downsize, we want to be clear. Our fight for better accessibility and affordability is for every patient who medically needs these medications, regardless of where they live. We never celebrate prices going up for any patient desperately fighting this disease of obesity. For those of us here in the United States, the situation in the UK is a reminder of how fragile access can be, even in countries with national health systems. When prices shift, patients bear the brunt, whether through panic buying, rationing, or switching to alternatives that may or may not work as well. And the BBC reporting makes clear it's another signal of the global balancing act these medications are now a part of, with drug makers, governments, and patients all pushing and pulling on the scales. At the end of the day, what matters most are the people using GLP-1s to treat obesity and diabetes, caught between breakthrough science and the realities of cost and supply.
Although we're certainly US-based, we have a lot of UK viewers who are constantly sending me stories, and you'll see them all the time commenting, and love to have them. I mean, we're deeply saddened anytime somebody's price gets increased.
It's just,
to just be healthier.
It's not fair.
No.
It's really just not fair. And it was really, Eli Lilly didn't have to do that, but they did it.
And I don't think we said it in the story, but in the UK, There is no Zepbound Mounjaro split.
It's all Mounjaro.
So
yeah.
That's a uniquely U.S. thing. A few medications have captured the world's attention, quite like GLP-1s, Wegovy, Zepbound, and others in this class are often called miracle drugs for their ability to treat obesity and diabetes. We've certainly called them that. But the real story isn't just the medicine, it's the people taking it. As CNBC's Karen Gilchrist reported this week, these drugs are sparking sweeping change in how we eat, shop, work, and even how economies perform. Goldman Sachs estimates that if adoption climbs to 30 million Americans, GLP-1s could boost U.S. GDP by nearly 0.5%. Not because Wall Street wants it to happen, but because patients are showing up to work more often, staying healthier longer, and spending differently at the checkout line. Researchers at Cornell University found that households with someone on a GLP-1 cut their grocery spending by over 5% in just 6 months. The drop was sharpest in snacks and sweets, but it wasn't about trading cookies for kale. It was about buying less food altogether. Those choices made one grocery trip at a time ripple out to the food industry, to retailers, and ultimately to the economy. The same thing is playing out on an even larger scale in Denmark, where Novo Nordisk is based. The company grew so large that at one point it was valued higher than the entire Danish economy. But again, that only happened because patients around the world are filling prescriptions and sticking with their treatment. The promise goes beyond weight and blood sugar. As new studies explore whether GLP-1s could help with conditions like sleep apnea, fatty liver disease, and even Alzheimer's, the reach could extend far further. Sophie Dix of MedExpress called the possibilities unexpected and promising. But none of this is abstract. It's patients, people like you and me, who are changing the world simply by using a treatment that lets them live healthier lives. Wall Street may count the profits, but the real power is in the lived experiences of those taking GLP-1s that are reshaping economies, households, and futures one dose at a time. So I pulled this story. We've had similar stories like this. I think we get so mired in the medical, scientific conversation that we as a GLP-1 community don't fully realize our power. And when we're shifting economies, and there's another story that'll come up that's an even bigger economic shift.
Buying less food, buying less groceries.
We can make a change. I mean, it's huge.
In story number 5, for those of us using GLP-1s outside of China, the latest headlines from Beijing may feel distant. But what's happening there could be a preview of what access to these medications might look like everywhere else. When the world's second largest drug market experiments with new models of distribution, affordability, and competition, the effects don't stay contained within its borders. They ripple outward, shaping the choices companies make in Europe, in the US, and beyond. In China, the future of obesity care may be arriving in a small cardboard box at your doorstep. For decades, prescription drugs in China flowed almost entirely through public hospitals, where doctors wrote the scripts and patients lined up at crowded dispensaries. But now, with GLP-1 medications capturing worldwide attention, the marketplace is shifting online. Analysts estimate that China's GLP-1 market could grow somewhere between $5.6 and $11.4 billion a year. And the battleground is no longer just hospital corridors. It is a smartphone screen. Eli Lilly announced a new partnership with JD Health, one of China's largest digital health platforms. Through a single app, patients can get a consultation, a prescription, home delivery, and even follow-up care. It is a one-stop shop designed for convenience, and it positions Lilly's blockbuster obesity and diabetes drug, Mounjaro, squarely in front of millions of potential patients. Novo Nordisk, Eli's fiercest rival, has already blazed this trail. Earlier this year, Novo cut deals with Tencent Health, Ping An Healthcare, Alibaba Health, and JD Health itself. JD Health itself. And JD Health, making its GLP-1 drug Wegovy widely available through China's top e-commerce outlets. But the race is not only between these two global giants. A new challenger is rising at home. Innovent Biologics, a Chinese firm, saw its drug Mazutitide approved in late June and wasted no time. Within days, it appeared on major online platforms, offering patients a homegrown alternative and stirring national pride. Behind this scramble is a fundamental reality. China's state medical insurance program has said it will not cover drugs for weight loss. That decision pushed drug makers to pivot quickly, betting on retail pharmacies and online marketplaces instead. For Chinese consumers, it means access is increasingly determined not by a hospital visit, but by an internet connection and the ability to pay. It is a sign of how the story of GLP-1s is never just about the science. It is about where care happens, who gets it, and what it costs. For Americans watching from afar, it also raises a familiar question. If convenience and lower barriers are possible in one of the world's most tightly controlled healthcare markets, why is access still such a struggle here at home? We see these shifts not as abstract market moves, but as reminders. The way these medications reach patients is just as important as the medications themselves. Because behind every sale, whether at a hospital counter or through a digital pharmacy, a person is living with the disease of obesity, waiting for the chance to change their life.
It's interesting. I mean, China's market has been so very different in how they did their healthcare and delivered drugs. And it's not to say it's good or bad. It's just, it is what it is.
So the Chinese government said they're not covering it.
Nope.
So it exploded online, and now people just go online
and telehealth.
and get it.
And you say, well, why does that matter to the U.S.? We have telehealth. Well, I think there's still a large portion of the country who, because healthcare has been shrinking in rural areas, hospitals have been closing, that telehealth hasn't quite gotten there yet. You'd think it would, but we talk to people all the time who still haven't found the right doctor, the right whatever, and they don't exist in their town.
Right.
So, I mean...
telehealth's still relatively new. I think it's going to take a while for people to embrace it.
Story number 6, Denmark just made a big move. The government cut its 2025 growth forecast almost in half, from 3% down to just 1.4%. And the reason has everything to do with GLP-1s. For the last 2 years, Novo Nordisk, the company behind Ozempic and Wegovy, has been powering Denmark's economy. Pharmaceutical exports gave the country more than 8 points of growth in 2024. This year, that number is expected to fall to just over 1, so a huge drop. The ministry pointed to weaker U.S. sales, more competition, and even generics beginning to squeeze the market. Add in higher U.S. tariffs, and the surge that once lifted Denmark is starting to level off. But make no mistake, Novo is still a giant. In its most recent quarter, sales rose 67% year over year to 19.5 billion Danish kroner, or about $3 billion US dollars. For all of 2024, net profit jumps 21% to 100 billion kroner, nearly $14 billion. Those are remarkable numbers by any measure. Yet investors are uneasy. Novo's stock has dropped more than 40% this year after falling the year before, as questions swirl about competition from Eli Lilly and the future of its next generation drugs. For a small country like Denmark, it's a reminder of just how much a single company and a single class of drugs can move an entire economy. And it highlights something even more powerful, the impact that GLP-1 users have on the world around them. These medications are not only reshaping lives and health, they're reshaping economies. When millions of people gain access, it can change the fortunes of a nation. All of Denmark.
So, Novo Nordisk is a public company, publicly traded.
Yep.
How is the sales volume of Novo affecting the gross national product of Denmark?
Because the value of Novo Nordisk last year was higher than the total GDP of Denmark.
So because they're located in Denmark. I mean, you know, we've reported on stories where all the executives at Novo are just, making a lot of money, but still not living very flashy because they're very conservative people, I guess. So it's interesting.
I think if you figure all that, and it all gets taxed by Denmark, there's jobs by Denmark. We saw Novo announce they had a hiring freeze. I mean, all of this impacts the economy. And again, it goes back to you and I and the impact we have every time we're buying these drugs, using this medication, and the way it makes us change how we think, how we act. The power.
Still waiting for the new CEO to come out with some revolutionary marketing strategy.
Oh, we'll see. I think right now he's kind of trying to rein in spending, but it'll come. It'll come.
In story number 7, when it comes to the race for new obesity and diabetes treatments, Novo Nordisk is looking in some unexpected places. This week, the Danish drug maker announced a research partnership with a small San Diego startup called Replicate Bioscience. The deal could be worth up to $550 million, and at the heart of it is a technology that sounds almost futuristic, self-replicating RNA. Replicate's version of RNA therapy takes a different approach. Instead of fading out quickly, the self-replicating RNA teaches your cells to keep making therapeutic proteins for longer. In theory, that could mean lower doses, longer lasting effects, and maybe a different way of tackling chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes and obesity. For Novo, this isn't about replacing GLP-1s anytime soon. Wegovy and Ozempic remain the company's crown jewels, with billions in sales every quarter. But the future of obesity care is bigger than just one class of drugs, and companies know they can't stop at the success of today. The hope is that platforms like Replicates might unlock new pathways, perhaps treatments that are easier to take or work in combination with GLP-1s. Replicate is still early in the story. Its most advanced program right now is a rabies vaccine in phase 1 testing, but tucked inside its pipeline is an experimental candidate for diabetes and obesity, and that's what Novo has put its money on. If that bet pays off, the company will have exclusive rights to bring those medicines to market. This isn't the first time Novo has reached outside its walls. In just the past 2 years, the company has bought or partnered with a string of small biotechs working on everything from oral weight loss drugs to next-generation receptor targets. It's a sign of how quickly the field is evolving and how competitive it has become. For patients, partnerships like this might feel distant, like something happening far away in a lab. But these are the seeds of what could eventually grow into new options. And as we know from our own adventure with GLP-1s, when innovation finally reaches the people who need it, lives can change. So while Novo Nordisk and Replicate Bioscience begin their work, the rest of us watch with cautious optimism, because the story of treating obesity is far from finished, and each new partnership brings us a little closer to the next chapter.
I love the new science. I mean, it's...
So is Novo buying this company?
It wasn't a full acquisition. No, it's a partnership.
A partnership.
Yeah.
So they're probably funding some of their research. That's what that means.
Yeah, but then they've got rights to sell whatever they create. Story number 8. In Madrid this week at the 2025 European Society of Cardiology Congress, a study led by Dr. Saru Ganetra and his team took a closer look at GLP-1s in patients with a type of heart failure called preserved ejection fraction. The analysis pulled data from 4 of the most important trials in this area: SELECT, FLOW, STEP-HFpEF, and STEP-HFpEF-DM. Dr. Ganetra, who is Director of Sustainability and Vice Chair of Research at Leahy Hospital and Medical Center and President of Sustain Health Solutions, wanted to measure not just clinical outcomes, but environmental ones too. His group combined patient-level trial data with environmental lifecycle metrics to ask a simple question. If GLP-1s reduce hospitalizations, what does that mean for the planet? The answer, it turns out, is striking. Patients treated with GLP-1s had fewer worsening heart failure events than those given placebo, 54 compared to 86. That translated into shorter hospital stays, fewer ICU admissions, and fewer emergency visits. When modeled, those changes equaled a carbon savings of about 1/4 kilogram per person per year, modest for one patient. But scaled to the millions eligible for treatment, the result comes to over 2 billion kilograms of carbon dioxide saved. That's like grounding 20,000 fully loaded Boeing 747 flights or canceling 3 months of citywide emissions from Brussels. The analysis even went one step further, looking at daily calorie consumption. Because patients on GLP-1s tend to eat less, the study estimated nearly 700 kilograms of carbon dioxide equivalent reduced per patient each year from food-related emissions. As Dr. Ganetra explained, the magnitude of the potential environmental emission savings found in our analysis was striking. By combining clinical data with environmental life cycle assessment metrics, we show that it is possible for medical treatments to deliver dual benefits: better health for patients and a healthier planet. For those of us living with obesity and relying on GLP-1s, the focus is often immediate: weight, blood sugar, and heart health. But this research widens the lens. It shows that the ripple effects of these therapies extend beyond our bodies, reducing not just hospital visits, but also the environmental footprint of our healthcare system. Yeah, I think it's cool, honestly. It's, whatever you happen to believe about the environment, basically it's saying it puts less trash in the air.
Less emissions from people eating less food.
That's exactly right. All right, that wraps up this edition of the Downsized News. If you found it helpful, we hope that you will subscribe to our channel.
And if you're looking for things that can help you with your GLP-1 journey, visit thedownsized.org. There you'll find links to our 2026 Downsize Cruise, our GLP-1 Amazon store, and our email list. Please note we are Amazon affiliates, and when you shop through our store, you're helping support our channel, The Downsized, at no cost to you. And we thank you for your support.
If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to The Downsized, and tap that notification bell so you never miss what's coming next week. We break down the science so you don't have to. We tell you the news. We chat about what's going on in our lives. Join us and be part of our amazing Downsized communities.
I'm Laraine Durham.
And I'm Christopher Durham. We are The Downsized. We'll see you next time.